Hello, grade 9. How are you today? I hope you are doing fine. So we are going to continue our study about the reproductive system. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the male reproductive system, okay? So it's a continuation. If you didn't watch yet the female reproductive system, please watch that first, okay? So let's go. So the male reproductive system is much simpler than the female one, okay? I'm gonna show you how simple it's gonna be. But first, let's take a look on the anatomy. So here are the main organs. Here one is the penis, is the male organ used in sexual intercourse. Here we have the testicles. The testicles are a pair of oval-shaped glands that produce sperm. Okay, so just like in the female, we have the ovaries that produce the ovum. Here we have the testicles that produce the sperm, so they are analogous. And inside the penis, we have a tube that we call ureter. This ureter has two functions. One function is to carry urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. So it's from where the urine passes, but also has an additional function of ejaculating the semen when the man reaches orgasm. So also has the function to eject the semen, okay? So it's the same tube that carries both urine and the semen. This doesn't happen to the woman. Woman has two orifices, one for ureter and one for the vagina canal, okay? So this doesn't happen for female, just for male. Here, these little tiny tubes we call vas deferens. They are a pair of ducts leading from the testicles to the seminal vesicle, just above, through which the sperm travels. So after the sperm has been produced in the testicles, it needs to travel up to there until it reaches the ureter, okay, to go out. And these tubes called vas deferens that make this transportation. Here we have the seminal vesicles. It has the function, they are also glands that produce some fluid that is part of the semen, okay? So the semen, it has most of it, it's made of most of it of spermatozoa, but it also has the semen, the liquid that goes together. This liquid, part of this liquid is produced in the seminal vesicles. Here we have the ureter. The ureter carries urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder, so actually doesn't have a function in the reproduction, but it's here together with the bladder. And the bladder is just store urine, allow urination to be infrequent and controlled. And here is also another gland that we call prostate gland. It's a gland that also produces some fluid that will be part of the semen, okay? So in the end, I'm gonna show you what they produce exactly. But so here, what are the main organs? The penis, that is the male organ used in the sexual intercourse. The testicles, that are glands that produce the sperm. The vas deferens, that are a pair of ducts that transports the sperm. The seminal vesicles, that are also glands that produce part of the semen. The ureter, that just carry the urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. The bladder, that stores the urine, allowing urination to be infrequent and controlled. And the prostate, that is also a gland that produces some of the fluid as well, of the semen. And inside the penis, we have this ureter, that is a tube that carries urine and also carries the semen, okay, when the man ejaculates. So spermatogenesis is the same process of production of sperm, okay? Just like in the female, we have ovogenesis, here we have spermatogenesis to produce sperm by the man. So spermatogenesis is the process of sperm production also by meiosis. This starts when the man reaches the puberty, okay, when he reached the puberty, the pituitary gland starts to release FSH to stimulate the spermatogenesis. In the spermatogenesis, what happens? Inside the testicles, we have cells, and these cells we call spermatogonia. Okay, these cells are cells that cover the walls of seminiferous tubulus within the testicles. So inside the testicles, we have these cells that we call spermatogonia. After they do meiosis, after the cells do meiosis, it forms spermatozoa, or we call sperm. One spermatogonia, so each cell of the testicles produce 4 spermatozoa, okay? So it's different from the female that just one oogonia produce one ovum only. Here is different. For each spermatogonia, it produces 4 spermatozoa. This is constantly renewed, okay? So man doesn't have a cycle just like the woman, do not have like a limit, for example, some age. It continues to be produced. So spermatogonia constantly is being renewed. It's constantly being multiplied by mitosis and also meiosis to produce the sperm. Testicles can produce vast quantities of sperm, roughly 120 million per day. So it's a lot. While a woman produces just one ovum per month, men can produce 120 million sperm per day. So it's a lot, okay? So let's take a look in more detail about this process of spermatogenesis, okay? So inside the testicles, we have these cells that we call spermatogonia. These cells undergoes interphase first. If you remember, for interphase, during interphase, we do DNA replication. So we have the spermatogonia, and after interphase, we have a cell that we call primary spermatocyte. That's when I have my DNA already multiplied, okay? After that, we do meiosis 1. After meiosis 1, we produce 2 haploid cells, but we still have a duplicate chromosome. So after meiosis 1, I produce a secondary spermatocyte. So I go spermatogonia, interphase, primary spermatocyte, meiosis 1, secondary spermatocyte. After that, what happens? Meiosis 2. Each of these spermatocytes produce 2 new cells. So it's different from female, where one of the cells we called they died, okay, and just the other survived. Here, both of them are the same. I don't have any differentiation between them. So each secondary spermatocyte divides after meiosis 2 and produce 2 each, in total 4 haploid cells. And then after that, we call spermatids, okay? So spermatogonia, then primary spermatocyte, then secondary spermatocyte, then spermatids. But this is not ready yet. As you can see, we don't have all the structures that the spermatozoa has, so I need to undergo one process that we call maturation. In this maturation, all my spermatozoa will be formed, okay, with the tail and everything. So after maturation, I form the final spermatozoa that will be used during the sexual intercourse, okay? So just to review, first cell in the testicles, spermatogonia. After interphase, I have primary spermatocyte. After meiosis 1, I have secondary spermatocyte. After meiosis 2, I have the spermatids. And after maturation, I formed finally the spermatozoa. Okay, so it's much simpler than the female. In female, we have 2 cells that are different, just one maturate. Here, no. They are the same, they just meiosis, and all the cells are similar. Okay, after the production of the sperm, this sperm needs to be stored somewhere because in the contrary of female, male produce the sperm all the time, okay? So it needs to be stored. Where is it stored? So it is produced here in the testicles, okay? So it's produced in both testicles, like that. But then it needs to go to be stored. Where is it stored? Here in the ampulla of vas deferens. So here on the end of the vas deferens. So from the testicles, it travels all the way and it is stored here. Okay, so the ampulla of vas deferens is where the sperm collect once it's formed. So when the man produce, when the spermatozoa are ready, they stay there waiting to be released. And where they are released? In the urethra. Okay, so as you can see here, there is a connection. So they connect and it releases the sperm in the urethra. So the urethra is the canal through which both sperm and urine are expelled. Okay, but then there might be a problem because urine can kill the sperm. So it's vital that the two of them should not mix. So there is a protection. Two muscles control the process during erection. When this muscle contract, it closes like the connection between the urethra and the bladder, so urine cannot pass. Okay, so during the erection, just the sperm can pass. So it blocks the canal where the urine passes. So this avoid the sperm to be in contact with the urine. Okay, so they cannot meet, because if they meet, the urine can kill the sperm, so there is no purpose. So these muscles, when there is an erection, this muscle contract and avoid the urine to be passing through the urethra. So what's erection? Erection is the process that involves the increasing volume and rigidity of the penis as a result of sexual arousal. So while the female release the ovum and just wait over there to be fertilized, here the male needs to give the sperm. So the penis has a huge function to make the two of them to meet. Okay, so how this erection occurs? There is two components inside the penis that we call the corpora cavernosa and spongiosa. So corpus spongios or spongiosa and the corpora cavernosa, that along the length of the penis filled with blood. So when the man is excited, there is a lot of blood going there that makes these two muscles to elongate because they are filled with blood. Okay, it brings a swelling of the tissues and the erection of the penis. So during the erection, there is a lot of blood going through the penis, exactly more specifically in these two, corpora cavernosa and corpus spongiosum. And then with this filling of blood, there is a swelling of the tissues and the erection of the penis. So the swelling of the tissues makes the penis to be erect, allow the muscles to close the cavity from where the urine passes, and then release just the sperm. Okay. Now, what's ejaculation? Ejaculation is the expulsion of the semen. So when I release the semen, this ejaculation, there is some process. With the penis erected, when they are stimulated, the sperm push through the ejaculatory duct toward the urethra. So the sperm that was stored, once the penis is stimulated, this sperm is pushed through the ejaculatory duct toward the urethra. The prostate and the seminal vesicles, they secrete the seminal fluid that mix with the sperm, creating the semen. Okay, so there is the accumulation of semen here. So here accumulates the semen. That is the sperm together with the fluid. And the semen accumulates in the bulge of the urethra near the prostate. So here, near to the prostate, there is an accumulation of the sperm. So here, produce a pressure following by ejaculation. So when the semen is accumulating here, there is a pressure, and then the ejaculation happens because the muscles surround the urethra contracts in rhythmic fashion, ejecting the semen. So the muscle that is surrounding the urethra, it contracts in rhythmic fashion, ejecting the semen. Okay. In one single ejaculation, it is released around 3.5 ml of semen and approximately 350 million sperm. Okay, so inside a woman, there is probably, sometimes there can be more, but not much more. So there is just one ovum waiting, and there is 350 million sperm competing for that ovum. So imagine you are a winner because you will win from 750 million sperm that want to fertilize the egg. Okay. Now, let's take a look about the semen components. So the semen components, they are produced by different glands in the system. Okay, the epididymal glands, it produces from 10 to 20% of the liquid containing sperm. The epididymal glands are the glands that are like above the testicle, like that. Okay, so it's above the testicle. It also produces some part of the liquid. The prostate produces from 20 to 40%, which is liquid that contributes to the mobility of the sperm. So the prostate produces a liquid that helps the sperm to move, to contribute to the mobility of the sperm. The seminal vesicles produce from 40 to 6%. It's a liquid rich in carbohydrates that provide essential energy to the sperm, because the sperm needs to move, it needs to have some energy to move. So the prostate produces a liquid that contributes to the mobility, and the seminal vesicles produce a liquid that is rich in carbohydrates, so a food, for example, that provides the energy for the sperm. And here, this tiny gland here, we called bulbourethral gland, that produces around 5%. That is the mucus that lubricates the urethra and the tip of the penis. Okay, so this is just a lubrication, liquid that lubricates. So these are all the components of the semen. Okay, for men, it's different from woman, because woman, when she has a certain age, she undergoes menopause. Okay, so there is an age where the female does not produce more eggs. This doesn't happen actually for men. So men can produce sperm almost all his life. But there is at a certain age that this hormones level decrease as well. Okay, and the sperm produce also decrease. Then we call andropause. This andropause, there isn't a specific pinpoint with certainty when male undergo andropause. Okay, so there isn't a specific time, just like in female. Okay, but they go usually later than woman. As hormone variation occurs, so also we have several physical and psychological changes. Okay, but contrary to menopause, andropause does not necessarily affect fertility in men. So it's not indicative that a man cannot have babies anymore. Okay, so men, even like at a high age, for example 60, 70, they can be father. They continue producing the sperm. Okay, there is not specific for some men this can finish, but for some can continue. So there isn't like a pattern for all men. but there is a decrease of the hormones, that's for sure. So there is a variation in the hormones that cause some psychological and physical change, but not fertility necessarily. Okay, so it's really also really different from hormone. Okay, guys, so that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for watching.